Breaking news. Justin Baldoni just scored a huge legal victory. And you know what that means? Blake Lively just took a massive L. Hollywood's latest legal showdown is heating up, and this battle is serving up all the drama, intrigue, and high-stakes legal maneuvering we could ask for. For months, Blake Lively's legal team has been digging deep, and I mean deep, trying to uncover alleged dirt in their fight against Justin Baldoni. But in their latest attempt to subpoena 2.5 years' worth of personal phone records, they may have overplayed their hand. And Judge Lyman, well, let's just say he wasn't having any of it. In a ruling that sent shockwaves through the case, the judge agreed with Baldoni's team, shutting down the wildly broad subpoena request. The decision? A total win for Justin and a major loss for Blake. But what does this mean for the future of this case? And is Blake's legal strategy falling apart right in front of our eyes? Tonight, we're breaking it all down. The legal drama, the celebrity politics, and the PR war being fought behind the scenes. Because let's be real, in Hollywood, sometimes the court of public opinion is just as important as the actual courtroom. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and get ready. This is the inside story of Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively, where power, privacy, and scandal collide. All right, let's rewind and break this all down. How did Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, two Hollywood A-listers, neither of whom has ever publicly feuded, end up in the middle of a legal war zone? It all goes back to a lawsuit Blake Lively filed, one that reads like a Hollywood thriller. According to her, there's been a shadowy, behind-the-scenes plot to destroy her reputation. Her claim? That industry insiders, allegedly including Baldoni, conspired to feed the press a carefully orchestrated wave of negative stories meant to take her down. Now, Lively isn't just saying she got hit with a few bad headlines. She's claiming this was a full-scale smear campaign, planned and executed by a network of powerful figures. But here's the catch. She doesn't know exactly who was involved. And that's where the subpoenas come in. In a move that left a lot of legal experts scratching their heads, Lively's team decided to go all in. They filed a massive request demanding 2.5 years' worth of phone records, texts, emails, and even GPS location data, not just from Baldoni, but from multiple people in his circle. Now, let's put that into perspective. Imagine if someone asked for every single call, text, and location ping on your phone for the past 2.5 years, without direct proof of wrongdoing. Sounds excessive, right? That's exactly what Baldoni's legal team argued. They pushed back hard, saying the subpoena was nothing more than a wild fishing expedition, a desperate attempt to dig up anything, whether relevant or not. Their key argument? If Lively herself claims this alleged reputation takedown started in August 2024, then why on earth would she need data going all the way back to 2022? And here's where things took a major turn. The judge agreed. He ruled that the request was way too broad, effectively shutting it down. This decision, a massive victory for Baldoni. But this battle is far from over. With the door left open for Lively's team to refine their approach, the question now is, what's their next move? This isn't just a lawsuit. It's a high-stakes legal chess match. And Blake Lively's team just made their boldest move yet. But unfortunately for them, it completely backfired. So what exactly did Lively's lawyers try to do? Well, in their scorched earth approach, they demanded 2.5 years' worth of phone records, text logs, and even location tracking. Not just from Justin Baldoni, but also from his business contacts, PR people, and personal associates. The goal? To uncover who allegedly helped orchestrate a smear campaign against her. Sounds aggressive? That's because it was. Baldoni's legal team immediately fired back, calling the move overly broad, deeply invasive, and downright ridiculous. Their argument? Lively was trying to gain access to way more information than was even remotely necessary, including potential private conversations with doctors, therapists, friends, and even business partners who had nothing to do with the case. But here's where it gets really interesting. Judge Lyman didn't just deny the subpoenas. He essentially called them out for being legally absurd. In his ruling, the judge sided with Baldoni's team, blocking the request and stating that Lively's team had failed to properly narrow down their demands. And this is where Lively's argument falls apart. In her own lawsuit, Lively claims the alleged negative media campaign against her didn't start until August 2024. But despite that, her legal team wanted records dating all the way back to 2022. The judge's response? A firm number. This wasn't just a rejection. It was a public rebuke of her legal team's strategy. The judge essentially told them, you can try again, but next time get your act together. Now, in theory, they can refile a more targeted request. But here's the problem. They've already lost credibility in the court's eyes. This failed subpoena attempt wasted valuable time and resources. Public perception is shifting against Lively, with many questioning whether this case is more about scoring PR points than actually proving wrongdoing. And speaking of PR, this legal battle isn't just playing out in the courtroom, it's unfolding in the media too. Lively has been on high alert, hitting back in subtle yet calculated ways, including joking about the case on live TV. But that raises another question. If she wants this lawsuit to be taken seriously, why is she treating it like a late-night comedy bit? Bottom line, this wasn't just a legal loss, it was a PR disaster. But what happens next? Will Lively's team regroup and refine their approach? Or was this their last, desperate swing? Stay with us, because things are about to get even more interesting. So, what does this huge legal ruling actually mean for both sides? Because while this was a clear-cut win for Justin Baldoni, it's an embarrassing misstep for Blake Lively's legal team. Let's start with Baldoni. By successfully getting the subpoena squashed, he's not only protected his privacy, but he's also set the tone for how this case will be handled moving forward. The message? He won't be bullied into giving up irrelevant personal data. This ruling also means that if Lively's team wants another shot at those records, they're going to have to work a lot harder to justify their requests. The judge made it clear, they need to be specific. That means no more wild fishing expeditions. They'll have to pinpoint exactly who they think was involved and provide real evidence instead of just speculation. For Lively, well, this ruling doesn't just hurt her case, it damages her credibility. And in Hollywood, credibility is everything. Here's why. It looks desperate. Trying to subpoena years of phone records when she herself admitted the alleged smear campaign began just months ago? That screams overreach. It's a bad look for her lawyers. Legal experts are already questioning why her team made such a reckless move, and now they have to go back to the drawing board. It raises serious PR problems. If Lively is claiming this case is about protecting her privacy, why is she so aggressively trying to invade someone else's? That hypocrisy is not going unnoticed. But let's take a step back. What does this mean for the bigger picture? Because this case isn't just about one legal ruling. It's about power, reputation, and control in Hollywood. With Baldoni winning this round, it's now up to Lively's team to figure out their next move. Do they refocus and get more strategic? Or is this the beginning of a downward spiral for her legal fight? One thing's for sure, this war isn't over. And if you think this was dramatic, just wait until you see what happens next. In Hollywood, your reputation is your currency. And right now, Blake Lively's legal battle isn't just being fought in the courtroom, it's being waged in the court of public opinion. Let's talk about PR strategy, because while Lively is pushing the narrative that this lawsuit is about justice and accountability, her public actions are telling a completely different story. Exhibit A, her recent public appearances. Instead of lying low while this legal mess unfolds, Lively has been making the rounds, cracking not-so-subtle jokes about the case on live television, leaning into her charm and wit as if she's promoting a new rom-com rather than battling a serious lawsuit. Now, some might say this is smart. Maybe she's using humor to control the narrative and lighten the tension. But let's be real, doesn't this undermine her own argument? Think about it. If Lively wants the courts to take her claims seriously, why is she treating this like a punchline? The contradiction is glaring. She's demanding privacy in legal filings while making the lawsuit primetime entertainment. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, he's staying quiet. No public statements, no social media rants, just letting his legal team do the talking. And guess what? It's working. By keeping a low profile, Baldoni is presenting himself as the rational, private party being dragged into a messy public battle. It's classic PR strategy. When your opponent is making noise, the best move is sometimes to let them talk themselves into a corner. And let's not forget, this isn't just about public perception. It also affects the case itself. Judges don't live in a vacuum. They see the headlines, they hear the chatter. And when one side is treating the lawsuit like a late-night comedy skit, it doesn't exactly help their credibility in court. So here's the real question. Who's actually hurting Lively's case more? Her legal team or her PR team? Because at this point, it's hard to tell where the legal strategy ends and the media spectacle begins. So what happens next? Because trust me, this legal showdown is far from over. Even though the judge shut down Blake Lively's overreaching subpoena request, her team still has options. The ruling wasn't a full dismissal. It was an invitation to try again. But this time, get it right. So, Lively's lawyers now have two choices. Go back to the drawing board and file a new, more specific subpoena. Instead of asking for 2.5 years of records, they'll have to narrow their scope, maybe focusing on specific individuals they believe played a role in the alleged smear campaign. Shift legal strategy entirely. After this very public misstep, Lively's team might decide that going after Baldoni's phone records isn't aren't worth the bad press. They could pivot to gathering evidence through other means: depositions, sworn testimonies, or even PR-driven pressure to get people talking. But here's where things get even more complicated. Because Lively's team isn't just interested in Baldoni, there's talk that they might subpoena Taylor Swift, along with other key Hollywood insiders who they suspect were looped into the alleged retaliation efforts. Now, let's just pause for a second. Taylor, Swift, getting subpoenaed. Imagine the media frenzy. If Lively's team actually goes down this road, they aren't just escalating the legal fight. They're dragging one of the biggest names in the industry into the mess. And if that happens, expect a full-blown Hollywood meltdown. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's legal team is playing the long game. They've already proven that they can outmaneuver Lively's lawyers in court. And with this latest win, they're in a stronger position than ever. The more Lively's side makes overreaching moves, the more Baldoni's team can argue that this lawsuit is nothing more than a publicity stunt, a tactic to control the narrative rather than seek real justice. But here's the thing, this is all still just the beginning. The case is moving forward, and as more details emerge, public perception is going to shift again and again. If Lively's team manages to pull together real, undeniable proof of wrongdoing, she could still turn this around. But if they keep making sloppy legal moves, she risks losing credibility permanently. So, the big question, is this a fight Lively can still win? Or has she already lost too much ground? Because at this point, this isn't just about winning in court. It's about surviving in Hollywood.